Welcome in, everybody. Cinemas with Benefits. We're going to be doing the Scream franchise today. Tell you a little bit about it. So the backstory for Ghostface, he's the main villain of the Scream franchise. His voice for all the movies, all the way through 6, is done by Roger L. Jackson. So he's the voice in all the Ghostface appearances, the phone calls, stuff like that. The Ghostface was named after a vinyl Halloween mask that was sold as originally the Father Death costume in real life. So it wasn't actually Ghostface or Scream or anything like that. In real life, it used to be the Father Death costume. And the mask was inspired by Edvard Munch paintings, which was called The Scream. Yeah. So I thought that was pretty cool. And usually, if anybody knows the Scream franchise, usually when he's coming after somebody, you'll get a phone call. Sometimes you get some trivia about horror movies, things like that, before he comes after you and kills you.
Yeah, what's your favorite scary movie?
Yeah, exactly.
What's your favorite scary movie?
So there's 6 movies in total of the franchise, starting all the way back. The first one was in 1996, all the way to recently for Scream 6, which is 2023.
Yep.
So we'll start off with Scream 1. Scream 1, it was made in 96.
Yep.
It got a 7.4 IMDb rating.
The highest one.
Yeah, true.
The highest rating on IMDb is the first one.
It's also the best one, though.
It is also the best
And I also think it's a little low.
Two.
So it got a 7.4. It got an 81% on Rotten Tomatoes, which, that's not too bad. Personally, I would give the movie about 8.59. Probably leaning more towards a 9.
I'd say a 9.
Because the fact that I would give it a 9 solely for the fact that it's an original slasher kind of movie. It kind of goes along with the Halloween, Friday the 13th, Nightmare on Elm Street slashers, but it also kind of modernized it a little bit. And also the fact that it kept you guessing who the killer was throughout the whole movie. They had a lot of different people that were suspects and everything like that. And it really kept you guessing. So the fact that the ending was a little different than most slashers, I really actually enjoyed this movie a lot. So I do enjoy. I give it about a 9 at a high because I really did like this movie a lot. This is Manny in the background right here. He's going to be. He actually just watched a lot of the Scream movies recently.
1, 2, 3, and 5.
Yeah, so he's going to be doing the review with us a little bit because he's kind of new, so he can give his input on it as well.
Yep.
Start off with Scream 1, bro.
Scream 1. Well, what are we going at here? Just I don't really have.
All right, so Scream 1. What I got so far, the movie was set in the small town of Woodsboro.
Yeah.
And it followed a high school girl and her group of friends, which is Sidney Prescott, played by Neve Campbell. Also had people like Matthew Lillard in it. Drew Barrymore made an appearance in it. But it follows their group of friends as a person named Ghostface, who's the killer, starts terrorizing the town and making murders. Leading up to realizing that Sidney Prescott, the main character, is basically the main target for reasons about her family. So the killer's trying to go after her because stuff that happened with her family throughout the movie. If anybody's never seen it really too much, I'm not trying to give too much away. But that's basically the gist of it. They're trying to uncover who the killer is before all her friends and herself included winds up being murdered. So you got Matthew Lillard, you got Neve Campbell, you got Dewey. Dewey was played by David Arquette. You got Courtney Cox in the movie. So a lot of big names for back in the 90s.
Yep, a lot of 90s child stars.
Yeah.
Or teen stars.
Yep. So it was a big name for those people back in the 90s. Sorry, just ruined your dawn, bro. So anyway, big
It's
names.
all right.
Big names for in the '90s, which
names.
is pretty cool. So some of the cool things about this movie here, the original title for the movie, crazy enough, was actually called Scary Movie, which they made a spoof of for Scream called Scary Movie. But that was actually supposed to be the original title.
That was supposed to be the original one. That's why they got the idea for Scary Movie, is because they used,
Yep. So the crazy thing is, I don't want to say his name because it's kind of sucks, but he was in his name is in a lot of the movies back in the day, which was Harvey Weinstein. So Harvey and Bob Weinstein, they actually didn't like the title Scary Movie.
Yeah.
So what they wind up doing is they went and they watched the Michael Jackson with his duet with Janet Jackson of their music video that was actually called Scream. So after watching that music video with Michael and Janet Jackson, they liked their title Scream, so they actually said, you know what, it's simplistic, let's just go with that. So that's why the movie's actually called Scream, which was actually pretty cool. You got another one?
I got several. So there was like a whole list of people that wanted to play Sidney Prescott and or were asked to play Sidney Prescott, and some of them were Brittany Murphy, Melissa Joan Hart, Reese Witherspoon, and of course Claire Danes, and as well as Drew Barrymore was also asked.
Wes Craven really wanted Drew Barrymore.
Yeah, she wanted her for sure, but they saved that for the beginning, for the opening, because they thought that would probably be the best to have America's Sweetheart being the first,
Well, Wes Craven wanted Drew Barrymore really bad, but Drew Barrymore felt like she would be more important to the film if she was killed off first. And Wes Craven actually came around to that idea and was like, you know what, we kill you off first in the first 15 minutes of the film. That's like a kind of a gut punch to the audience. That's a big actor that you're killing off first, so they wouldn't really expect that. So they kind of like that idea.
Well, they also I also saw somewhere that they had Robert Downey Jr. wanted to be in that, wanted to be one of the killers as well. So that's a trip though, right?
Brittany Murphy could have pulled off Sidney Prescott. I could see Brittany Murphy doing it.
Definitely.
But I really feel like they hit home with Neve Campbell.
Definitely.
I feel like Neve Campbell definitely stole that spot. Like she won it for sure. She's the only Sidney Prescott in my eyes right now. Just Wesley Snipes is Blade and Al Pacino Scarface. Yep. I feel like Neve Campbell really won that spot. That was a really good choice right there.
And she got that because of her part in the craft.
Yeah.
Right? So they really.
Well, she was also doing Party at 5 at that time too, and Wes Craven thought that she could really play the innocence of Sidney Prescott, but also be a strong character.
Yeah, and she definitely is.
Another thing is Scream really, it's a homage to the horror classics, slasher films. If you watch the film and you're a fan of the horror franchise and slashers and things like that, such as Nightmare on Elm Street, Friday the 13th, Halloween, Psycho, things like that. If you're a fan of those movies, while you're watching Scream, you can really pick out different parts that they're paying tribute to, basically, to these movies.
Yeah.
The person in the hallway at Scream 2 that's dressed as Freddy Krueger. Yep. You see that, or different parts of the sayings and stuff like that. Different quotes that they say, or you find out. Sidney Prescott lived on Elm Street. That's pretty crazy. Or the fact that they talk about, in the beginning of the movie when Casey Becker is killed, her dad tells his wife, go drive down to the Mackenzie's house and call for help.
Yeah.
Now, if you watch the original Halloween movie, Jamie Lee Curtis tells the kids, go walk down to the Mackenzie's house.
Yep,
So they kind of play off the old
Is
classics.
it the same universe?
Yeah, they kind of play off the old classic slasher films, which is kind of dope.
It is. It's cool. It's good writing. It makes
it's very good. It kind of brings it all organic. It makes you feel like you're all in the same kind of thing, and plus Scream references a lot of other, like you said, the older horror classics and stuff. So it always feels like it's always a callback to this, a callback to that. It brings back a sense of familiarity to it, and so it's always like it keeps you kind of involved in it, but it never takes you out. It never feels like it's breaking like the fourth wall or anything. So it's always just like this is happening, that's happening, and if you're always into horror movies, you're like okay. Like then this and this, so it keeps your mind active throughout the whole thing, and so but it never brings you out of it. Never feels like you're out of place, out of touch, kind of thing. And
you're in the universe, right?
It always just feels like a certain kind of thing.
Yeah. The other thing I liked about it is, so when you're watching Scream, you're constantly you see Ghostface in the movie. You always see Ghostface, so you know Ghostface is the killer.
Yep.
But you don't know who's behind the mask.
Yeah, and it never shows them unmasked themselves, so it's always like, who's who, it's always a mystery, it always keeps you on your toes kind of thing.
So it's kind of like the first Friday the 13th. You knew there was a killer.
Yep.
You didn't know who it was.
Yep. Until
the very end of the movie, the mask so-called was pulled off and you find out it's Jason's mother.
Yeah.
Yep.
Friday the 13th, you knew it was Michael Myers, but he really didn't make an appearance and kill people until the very end, kind of.
Halloween, you mean?
Halloween. Sorry.
Halloween.
So I kind of like the fact that you knew it was Ghostface, but you didn't know who was behind the mask.
It
kept you guessing.
Yeah. Exactly.
Until the end of the movie, when you're like, "Oh my God, like you're
reveal.
the killer."
You got the big reveal. The Scooby-Doo ending.
So exactly the Scooby-Doo ending.
Scooby-Doo ending.
So I thought that was actually really cool how they did that movie. A lot of times nowadays you watch a horror movie, you kind of know who the killer is. They kind of tell you who the killer is, and they're just killing throughout the whole movie, and it's all about blood and gore. Where this one here, they're doing the killing, but it's kind of a mystery of who it is, and they catch you guessing the whole movie. If you guessed who the killer is while watching the movie, you're pretty good. Because during you're really good. Because if you watch it and you guess it, then that you're good at horror movies. Because I'm a fan of horror movies. I love horror movies.
Love a good story.
But watching the first one, I did not guess the killer. I couldn't do it. And without giving it, I'm saying, without giving away the ending and who the killers is, if you haven't seen it before, good luck trying to guess who it is because it's pretty hard to do.
If you could do it, more power to you.
Yeah, it's definitely hard to do. You got another one to give?
Well, Patrick Dempsey, man.
No, wasn't that one.
No, we're still doing
Scream one.
Scream 1. I don't really have anything for Scream 1.
All right, so I got
covered on that.
Matthew Lillard. Matthew Lillard had a part in the movie where he was where he played Stu.
Yes.
Which is Billy Loomis's best friend in the movie. Matthew Lillard was actually an accidental cast in this movie. He was actually at an audition with his girlfriend at the time, and she was auditioning for a different movie. The cast director for Scream saw him around and told him, hey, why don't you come over here and audition for this movie? And he was actually auditioning for the part of Billy Loomis. But as he was auditioning for that part, Wes Craven basically said, Wes Craven basically said, I don't really see you as the part of Billy Loomis, but I want you to start reading parts as his best friend Stu, which is actually the part that he got. He got the part at Stu, but his casting was actually accidental, which is actually pretty cool because Matthew Lillard is a great actor.
He is a great actor.
He did Scream. He did Shaggy as Scooby-Doo, Without a Paddle. You told me,
SLC Punk.
You recently told me about SLC Punk. I haven't seen it yet.
The main guy in that one. Good movie.
Yeah,
but he's a really good actor. 13 Ghosts.
Oh, 13 Ghosts.
Very well in 13. He did a great role. Yeah. He played his role really well in 13 Ghosts.
Yeah, so the guy's a really good actor. So the fact that he got this part accidentally is pretty good for him. Also, Rose McGowan in the movie. She's the girl that in the movie she was crawling through the doggy door, and he lifted it up and everything like that, and she died.
At the garage, right?
Yeah, the garage door.
Yeah.
Well, it turns to find out in that movie, her body frame was actually too small, and every time they would lift the door up, she kept falling through the door.
Yeah.
So what they actually started doing for that part is they were nailing her clothes and stuff to the garage door so she wouldn't fall back out.
Oh, yeah.
But she later stated in an interview saying now that she knows that her body frame is too small for that, she actually used it a couple of times when she locked herself out of the house and she crawled through a doggy door
really?
to get into the house.
That's cool.
So that was actually pretty cool. Another thing that I got is Skeet Ulrich. Skeet Ulrich. He's the guy who played Billy Loomis in the movie. So when he was a little kid, he actually had open heart surgery. And the part of the movie at the ending where Sidney Prescott was stabbing him with an umbrella, the tip of the umbrella, the second time she stabbed him, actually missed the padding that he had. And it actually hit him in his chest.
Damn.
Where he had his surgery. Yeah. So they said that in that movie, when he screams at that part, that's a legit scream. She actually heard him because she missed the padding and she hit him right in his open heart surgery that he had.
That's a good movie trivia right
and
there.
I was like, wow, like
that's a good one though, because
she has no accuracy. She's not a shooter.
She's not a shooter.
And also the last thing I got for Scream 1. David Arquette's character, he wasn't supposed to survive the movie. So David Arquette's character was actually supposed to die in that movie, but when they did a testing with the test audience of the movie, they found out that the test audience actually loved his character Dewey. So since the test audience loved Dewey so much, they brought David Arquette back. To do reshoots of the ending so that he could possibly survive if they made a part 2.
I wonder what his death though in that first movie.
Yeah, dude. I wonder what it would have been like, if he would have go.
Yeah, so he wasn't supposed to live, but he actually wound up living. They did reshoots for the first movie just to bring him back because he's so popular.
He was big.
Which goes to show, I mean, he made it all the way to Scream 5. He was definitely a fan favorite. I love Dewey myself.
Oh, so do I.
You can't go wrong with Officer Doofy. No. I mean, Dewey.
right.
But anyway, what do you got for Scream 2, man? Let's move on to Scream 2.
I don't really have much on anything.
Scream 2 is really good. It starts off with a whole thing where they, kind of have like a showing of what happened in the first movie, but they label it as like, an in-universe kind of thing called Stab. So they go to the whole like showing and everything, and everyone's dressed up as Ghostface. Yeah. So it really gave me thrills. I was just like, dude, any one of these dudes could be, Ghostface, because everyone's Ghostface. I was like, if a true Ghostface were to show up to this, then it's really hard to see who he could be, or for the cops to even find the suspect, because bro, everyone's dressed as Ghostface. Like the movie premiere, like the whole theater crew, they're giving everyone, Ghostface costumes and cool little light up glow stick knives and stuff for the movie, and they even have like a cool ghost face flying through the rafters and stuff. You know what I mean, for the premiere. I mean, it looked crazy.
See, and this is why I love having somebody that came on right now who's just watched all these movies fresh and everything like that. He really hasn't seen too many of them, so to watch them, it's really cool to have the intake. So what I got, Scream 2 was made in '97. Yeah. It got a 6.3 out of 10 on IMDb, which for me, again, a little low. For Scream 2, I give it like a 7.5. It wasn't as good as the first, but it was pretty much still on par with the first one. I actually enjoyed it. What would you rate that one?
Probably around there, probably a 7 solid.
Yeah, for sure. I got that they had a budget for $24 million to make this movie. It grossed domestically $101,363,304.
Dang, they killed good.
And worldwide, it grossed $172,363,296. So they made bank on this money.
Yeah,
After the
that,
success of the first one, this movie came up and made bank.
right after, right? So
You figure $24 million budget, you made 170. You banked $150 million
Bet
profit
hard.
off this movie. I mean, it really was a success. So, for this one, it takes 2 years. It's 2 years after the first movie.
and
And
college, right?
Yep, they're in Windsor College. Sydney and Randy go to Windsor College together, and they're just trying to get on with their lives, you know. And while they're trying to do that, a new Ghostface killing spree starts occurring. So they meet back up. You know, Dewey and Gal are back in it again. You got Courtney Cox, David Arquette. They're back in the movie. They start meeting up once the killing starts happening, and they're trying to figure out who this new killing murderer is Ghostface, and what his motives are for this movie. The motives again, of course, Sidney Prescott's the target. They got other reasons this time. Not trying to give it away too much, but they got other reasons why they targeted Sidney on this one. So they're trying to figure who it is before, you know, more killings happen and things like that. Again, I give the movie a solid 7.5 out of 10. I gave the first one a 9. This one's not too far off. It's still a really good movie. I loved it actually. For a sequel, you know, it's hard for sequels to surpass or even better the original, except for like Godfather or Aliens or things like that. You know, like they're
Aliens
sequels that are pretty much on par or better with the original.
Yeah,
So
or Aliens.
it's hard to do.
Aliens, Empire Strikes Back.
It's hard. So the fact that this movie was pretty much on par with the first one makes it a pretty good sequel in my eyes. I actually loved it a lot. You got any facts on Scream 2?
That Patrick Dempsey almost didn't. Well,
Nope.
he did get.
Nope.
No?
Patrick Dempsey is 3.
Is it 3? Man, I don't have anything on 2 then.
I got
How did I not get anything on 2?
I got the cast for this one here. The cast wasn't informed of who the killer was until the last day of photography. They didn't want any of it to leak out. So they didn't even get the last 10 pages of the script until they were ready to shoot the last 10 pages of the scenes. They wanted no leakage at all of who the killer was or anything like that.
No spoilers.
Rumor has it that there actually was a leakage that happened of the script. And with the leakage that happened, they actually had 2 different murderers that were supposed to be the murderers in this movie. And because the scene got leaked, they actually did a full script change and changed who the killers were in this movie because the screenplay got leaked online.
Yeah, that's crazy.
But yeah, they were totally the actors were kept in the dark of who the killer was. They had no idea who the killer was. Like I said, they didn't even have the last 10 pages, so that was pretty cool in my eyes.
Yeah.
That's pretty good. They also had a cameo of, I think it was Nightmare on Elm Street in the second one, where they had someone kind of dressed up like Freddy Krueger.
He was in the hallway, the janitor.
The janitor was.
And you even see, I think, maybe the same scene or in a different scene, you see the red and green sweater hanging up.
The only thing is, the sweater was a different color than what Freddy has, but it was still a reference to Freddy.
Yeah, it was still.
So you're right. You're right. It was that.
It wasn't a direct one, but it was still
also, if you watch around the 35-minute mark of Scream 2, at the frat party, you'll see Matthew Lillard in the background.
Really?
Oh, really?
So
cameo.
Matthew Lillard makes a cameo in this movie, but he's in the background at a frat party.
Really hard.
So that's a pretty cool one because he died in the first one as the killer of Stu Macher.
That's funny though.
So the fact that he comes back at a frat party and makes a cameo appearance in this one, that's pretty cool.
Nice call out, a shout out to the first one.
Yeah. So that's actually pretty cool. You got to be really paying attention because he's in the background of the frat party, but you can definitely see. You can definitely see him back there.
I mean, you can definitely point that guy out, man.
Yeah.
There's a part in the movie. There's a part in the movie where Sydney's new boyfriend Derek. He's trying to basically tell her like, I love you. I don't care what you're involved in. Like, I love you. So he actually started singing on top of the tables. He started singing "I Think I Love You," and he starts going across the cafeteria tables as he's singing a cappella to her that song.
Yeah.
And it turns out that the people that auditioned for his part had to do that scene for the audition.
Damn.
So-
That's a hard one.
Yeah.
So if you audition for the part of Derek, that was the scene that you were given. So I think I love you. So what am I so afraid of? You know that whole scene. That was your audition for Derek if you wanted it. So I thought that was actually that's a good audition. If you can nail the acapella part, you know you got it. That's not bad at all. I thought that was actually pretty well. That was pretty cool.
His character always gave me like vibes throughout the whole movie. I don't know. I just had a weird gut feeling about him, but I think that was the whole purpose of the movie. Just kind of because the first one was just wild, and then the second one just like
Well, the rumor has it. Rumor has it before that screenplay got leaked, he was supposed to be one of the killers.
Wow.
The screenplay got leaked. And the whole script changed.
Yeah, flip it.
I wondered too because they were having a conversation. I think it was Randy. He's always like the one talking about scary movies and movies in general and everything. And he's always like, he's always like, you can't be, you know what I mean? You can't be like the boyfriend because that's always played out, and it can't be, the girl or whatever. So to hear him kind of talk about like sequels and then all that kind of stuff, I just like some movie knowledge thrown in there.
Robert Grant, man, I appreciate you coming through, man. Miss you, big guy. I hope you enjoyed the review so far. But yeah, so that was actually a pretty cool thing.
Yeah, that was very cool.
He was actually supposed to be the killer until the screen got leaked, and they switched that up.
Yeah.
So that was actually pretty cool.
It's a good one to kind of throw you off the loop because I was always getting weird vibes off ever since the beginning of the movie started. I was like, I don't know about this, you know. So it was good.
Right.
It was definitely. He was definitely one of my choices. I did not guess the killers again in this one. This was also another good one for me.
Yeah, it keeps you on your toes.
Because I actually thought it was going to be her boyfriend myself.
Yeah.
Also, the original ending for this movie, the original ending that got cut was there was another ghost face that was watching over from the campus bell tower on what was going on. So the original ending had another ghost face that was watching everything that happened. And, so it kind of alluded to there was going to be a part 3, but they cut that whole scene out.
Wow, yeah, but, just in case it didn't do well, I bet,
Yep, so they basically were like, hey, there's going to be another ghost face. He's watching everything that's going on and everything, but that all got basically taken out right after that one.
Yeah.
So what do you got for another one?
Wait a minute. Well, we got this right, so... What?
Jada.
Yeah, after filming J. Pickett Smith sent was Kevin said steak knives for Christmas.
Yeah, so basically so Jada Pinkett Smith was in this movie.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
In the beginning.
Yeah, and I love this movie because you get to see her die, and I could watch it over and over again. And I hate Jada Pinkett Smith, so watching her death scene was really touching for me. But after she shot this scene, what she told Wes Craven before she got the part, she said that I want my on-scene death to be dramatic, drawn out, and like crucial. She wanted it to be painful.
Yeah.
So he was like, "All right, cool. Like we can do that."
Yeah.
So they made her death really painful, drawn out, and excruciating. But what she wound up doing was she gave after shooting, she actually gave Wes Craven a set of steak knives for Christmas, which I thought that was actually pretty cool. Like you just did a movie about Scream, and you're gonna give Wes Craven steak knives, and give it Jada Pinkett Smith. They were probably cheap set, but It's whatever.
I mean,
I'm just kidding. They're probably really good.
I wonder if the scene
The
in
higher
the theater
tier at
scene
least,
from
bro,
Scary
like-
Movie is reference to the beginning with Jada Pinkett Smith.
It is.
Scary
It
Movie.
is.
And
Yeah,
Scary
yeah,
Movie
yeah.
when he's like, "Oh, do it again, do it again." That's actually from Scream 2.
Yeah, no
It is,
doubt,
isn't
yeah.
it? Yeah.
Yeah.
So
So
she's in there. I mean, even Jada Pinkett. I mean, like she's always talking about like, oh, the white girl's always gonna get it, or why don't they ever do
Yeah.
this, or why not that, and
that's
it's-
why they're like, "Oh my God, be quiet!" And everybody
Yeah.
keeps. Yep, that's a definite
Yeah,
reference to Scream
definite
2.
callback, which is good because that was actually a good part of Scream 2.
Yeah.
Is that beginning part? It was like this is really cool.
Yep. And
So-
Omar Epps in the movie, he gets it, and then
Omar
Scream
Epps,
2,
yeah.
he's like, "Oh, do it again, do it again." He gets it through the ear.
Yeah,
you know?
he gets it through
Oh,
the
yeah.
ear.
But-
Yeah.
Yeah, that's all reference. Scream 1 and
Yes.
Scream 2 had such a
Iconic.
big
bro.
Influence
impact.
on scary movies.
Yeah, exactly.
Huge.
So
impact.
that was definitely a big one.
Pop culture references like crazy,
Mhm.
dude.
What we got for another one?
Both Scream and Scream 2 were among the highest grossing films of 1997.
Yep.
Scream 1 was released in December of 1996.
Yeah.
it
So
made most
right
of
at
its
the
money in
tail end.
97.
since Scream 1 was released December 20th of 1996, it actually made most of its money in 1997.
Yeah.
Scream 2
Yeah.
was also released in
gotta-
1997. So
Yeah.
both of those movies were such a high gross movies, and since Scream 1 was released late and made this movie, that they had Scream 1 and Scream 2 as one of the highest grossing movies in 1997.
You gotta
That's,
think, bro.
that's pretty
You
good.
gotta think, bro. Like back in the day, it used to take forever for movies to get on VHS. So by the time Scream came out, it was just selling. And then by the time Scream 2 came out, theaters were packed.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And
Yeah, so to
so
have,
that's where
to
all that
have
money
two-
came from, dude.
to have two movies of the same franchise as a highest grossing movie of the year, that's actually pretty big. That's
Exactly. And,
That's-
and
that's a big one.
That is huge because you think about it though. That's how it fucking was though.
Yeah.
yeah, and Wes Craven having experience from making a Nightmare on Elm Street and all that stuff, he definitely knows how to make a horror movie. So he
It has
not
a-
saying he can roll them out like nothing, but man,
Well, he has a
like
style,
he
yeah.
definitely has a style, and
Yeah,
it
right.
definitely it brings familiarity. So the first one when that one popped off, and then they see the second one's also
Mm-hmm.
the second Scream 2 is directed by Wes Craven. That people were like, "Yep, I'm definitely gonna see this one," because
yeah.
first one was gold, and then knowing his history from
Halloween.
making a Nightmare on Elm Street and some other movies, I mean, they were just
Halloween
they're
is-
good.
mm-hmm.
Said Scream 1
Highest
came out on VHS December 2nd, 1997.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
almost a whole year
Well,
later.
see, it
A
came
whole
out
year.
on VHS December 2nd,
Yeah,
but it was released in theaters December 20th of 96.
yeah.
So you got to think that's a whole
Well,
year
that
for
just
it to
pushes
come
back
out.
to what David said,
That's
too.
that's a
Yeah.
whole year
Well,
before it
once they
came
see
out.
it, and then boom, 2 hits, bro. Yeah.
Yep.
You're
Yeah,
back.
everybody was psyched, bro. Everybody
That's
was
what I'm
ready.
saying. So for it to be a whole year until it even came on VHS, you're talking people watching the movie
In
in
theaters.
theaters
Yeah.
from 96 to 97, 2 movies.
Yeah.
That's
That's
big.
back to back, too. That's
Yeah,
a
it's-
lot of scheduling, too. And
That's
everything.
big.
Dude,
Yeah.
it's big, dude. Especially back then, like
Yeah.
All right, so I gave it a 7.5. You gave it a 7. What would you
Yeah.
say? it
Scream
was?
2, I think I would give it a 6.5. I think I like
Really?
the first one a little more. Yeah. So
You agree with IMDb?
Oh yeah, if that's what I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah, so
Oh,
just on a
yeah,
personal
yeah.
scale, I think it's
Well,
6.5 is pretty good.
IMDb gives it a 6.3, so you're
Oh,
right there
yeah.
with
yeah, they
it.
Yeah.
range it pretty low, like pretty average. is what
Okay.
they
Yeah.
range it right.
See,
Scream 2
I-
is all right.
I
They
like
go.
Scream 2. Not as much as Scream 1, but I did like Scream 2. That's definitely my
Scream 2 is
second favorite Scream,
Yeah.
besides 5 and 6. Because my orders
Five
would
and
be...
six would be. I mean,
Well, my order
yeah.
of favorite Screams is 1, 2, 5, 6, 3, 4.
That's
Mm.
just
That's my order
machete
of my
order,
favorite
basically.
Screams.
It's machete order, so
Yeah.
it's like
That's my favorite Screams. In order, my favorite Screams are 1, 2, 5, 6, 3, 4. So
Machete
you
order,
gave it
Joe
you gave it
order.
the a 6.5. Okay. So we'll go on to Scream 3 then now. Scream 3, here we go.
Oh yeah, here's the facts on it. Scream 3 is made in 2000. The IMDb is 5.6 out of 10, and the budget was 40,000.
40 mil.
40 million in the U.S. and 89 million in
Yeah, it grossed 89 million.
89 million
domestic.
right?
Yeah.
And 161 million worldwide. So yeah.
So it's definitely
lower than
people
Scream
got
2,
tired.
yeah.
Like, all right, here we go, Scream 3. You know, so it definitely didn't make as much money. But you got to think it's still $40 million budget. You still banked 161 million. You're still talking about $120 million profit for a third series of the franchise. You know, that's not bad at all. So basically, this movie here, Sydney is living in the woods. She's basically hidden from the world. The only person that knows where she is Dewey. Gal Weathers, none of them. Nobody knows where she is. She's basically in hiding. But they're making a Stab 3 movie. Now, Stab 3 is basically a movie inside a movie. So Stab 3 is basically Scream 3. So they're making a movie about the Woodsboro murders, and they're on the third movie as well as we are on Scream 3. Now Ghostface starts making a return and in Hollywood, and he starts plucking off the actors that are making Stab 3. As he's starting to pluck off these actors, that draws Dewey and Gal to Hollywood to find out who this new Ghostface is. But at the same time, it also lures out Sidney Prescott. So Sidney Prescott's like, because what happens is the killer starts leaving photos of Sidney's mother around.
Mm-hmm. Photos that no one's ever seen before.
Yep.
You know what I mean? So it kind of leaves out some backstory on the whole Sydney and her mother's story. You know,
Yep.
so
It's even stuff that Sydney doesn't know about her mother, about what
Exactly,
happened and things like that.
Yeah.
So these photos start pulling around, and everybody's like, you know, like, what are these photos? So Sydney comes out of hiding in this movie to be like, all right, so now my mom's involved and I don't know why. So she's trying to uncover this mystery of what's going on with her mother, what doesn't she know, and things like that. So now they got a whole nother thing that still targets Sidney Prescott. Sidney Prescott is still the target. The killer still wants her dead for whatever reason. So they got new motives for Sydney in this one. So now they're trying to figure out what's going on. The cool thing about this movie, well, not really cool because it's kind of, I hate the man. Since Harvey Weinstein is the producer of the movie, it was kind of ironic, I would say, how... Yo, Will, how's it going, man? Nice coming in. We're talking about Scream 3 right now. So it's kind of ironic that Harvey Weinstein was the producer of this film, and in Scream 3, the movie was about the producers of the movie Stab that they're making. Yeah. And the producers basically had their way with actors and actresses. Hey, we'll give you this part, you do something for me, you know what I'm saying? So the fact that they were referencing this in the movie, and now Harvey Weinstein is now a sexually known predator in real life. It's kind of like ironic, you know? Yeah. Like, you made a movie about this while you were really doing this in real life. You know? So the fact that Harvey Weinstein made a movie about what he was doing in real life, being a sexual predator, was kind of like, you know, like, kind of ironic, but Harvey Weinstein, you're still a pig, man.
Exactly.
So, IMDb, they gave it a 5.6 out of 10. I'm actually a little lower on this one. I give this one a 5.5 out of 10.
Are you on Scream 4?
Scream 3.
Scream 3.
So I give this one a 5.5 out of 10. This to me is where Scream started falling off. 3 and 4, I feel like they fell off. 4 being the worst of them. And then 5 and 6, they actually kind of picked back up again. So this one here for me is a 5.5 out of 10.
I really like Scream 3 though. And it also,
you were a fan of it.
Yeah, they also were filming Stab 3 at the same time. So it's like kind of like, you know, you seen Stab 1 in Scream 2, and then you don't hear anything about Stab 2, but then they're filming Scream 3, and then also in the movie
Why
they're
is
filming
Scream 3?
Stab 2
Yeah.
or Stab 3. I mean,
Yeah.
so they're in the whole movie kind of takes place in the production of Stab 3, and they recreated the whole house and everything at the end of
From the original Woodsboro.
yeah.
What's amazing, like how you can like direct a movie and have a film inside of a film.
Yeah.
It was good. It was really
trippy how
good.
you-
All right,
do
so
that, right?
I would give it a 5.5. IMDb gives it a 5.6. What would you say?
I don't know, maybe like a 6, maybe.
A 6?
I give that one like a 7.5. I think.
Really? You rate that one?
I really like number 3.
You rated that one
Yeah.
higher
Yeah.
than part 2.
I didn't like part 2 as much as I liked part 3.
Really?
I think I really liked part 3.
Okay.
And also
Part 4
there's also a cameo in part 3, right outside the studio in LA, is, where they always film Hollywood movies and stuff. Right outside one of the studios and stuff, they kind of exit. But then you see a cameo from 2 of my favorite actors, Jay and Silent Bob.
Oh, yeah, Jay and
They
Silent
walk
Bob's out
right
there.
by.
Yeah,
And you
that's
see
cool.
Jay call us out. He even names him Silent Bob. He's like, you see
When they're
this?
talking
Whatever?
to Courtney
Yeah.
Cox.
It was good, bro. It was a
Yeah.
good little cameo
Yeah.
out of nowhere,
That's
left
funny.
field kind of thing, and then you kind of just see
Like
something.
what?
Yeah.
They're in this? What?
It's good, but
Yeah,
but
they
it's
did
kinda-
make a cameo.
It was around Jane Silent Bob Straight Back.
Yeah,
so
it was right around then.
Well, I miss you too, bro. I hope you're doing well at the job and everything like that. And I'm sure I'll see you around, man. But I hope you enjoy the review on this right now. Right now we're on Scream 3. We're going all the way to Scream 6, doing the whole franchise. Make sure you like and subscribe, man, so you can see our next review movie that we choose to do. We're going to be doing horror movies all the way up through October 31st for Halloween.
Halloween.
So make sure you like and subscribe, man. We'll be doing more reviews.
Yep.
Miss you, man. So this is where your Patrick Dempsey fact comes in. We're on
Well,
Scream 3.
I have it for 4, but
Oh, you got it? Okay.
yeah. So
So one of my facts that I got is Patrick Dempsey, he was actually hired the day right before shooting began. So he only had one night to learn 3 big dialogue heavy scenes. So if you got big dialogues heavy scenes and you only have one night to do it,
that's
you're a
rough.
pretty good actor in my
Yeah,
book.
that is.
Because
Coffee,
you're-
you mean you're staying up, you're memorizing your
I mean,
lines.
I'm never really a big fan of Patrick Dempsey, but that really shows like your acting
that's-
chops, though.
you might
I'm
not
a
be the
big
best
fan-
actor in the world.
Not the biggest fan of Patrick Dempsey, but that really shows that he has some skill, man. Like,
Yep.
He has appreciation for his craft,
Yep.
Bad work ethic.
You straight
That
up,
too.
yeah, work
Massively.
ethic for real.
Massively.
Like you legit, Julian, stay inside, please.
It's
You
okay.
legit learned 3 big dialogue heavy scenes in one night. That's not bad in my book. So I do give him credit for that. I think that's actually pretty good. And also in this movie here, if you remember in Scream 2, her boyfriend Derek gives her a necklace with his frat symbols on it. If you actually watch in Scream 3, she's actually still wearing that necklace around her neck, so you can still see his necklace on her on Scream 3.
It's a nice Easter egg. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Oh man, 3 years already. That's pretty good, man. That's pretty cool. Saw 10 is going to be good though. I can't wait for Saw 10. We might have to do a review on that one when it comes out because I like the Saw series as well.
Saw 10, yeah.
love Saw series,
I
bro.
saw trailers for that.
Yeah,
you
so
know.
that's actually going to be pretty cool. I'll be excited to see Saw 10
Yeah.
myself.
I do review the whole
But man,
series.
marathon at 3 years, I don't know how you did it, man. You keep it up, big guy.
Right?
Also, the house. So the house that they shot at the end of this movie when they're going through his house,
Yeah.
and that's where a lot of the killing starts in this movie. Is in this house. A lot of the killing takes place in here, which is actually towards the end of the movie. This is the same house that was actually in Halloween H2O for the
Really?
school.
Oh, for the school.
Yeah. So this house was actually used in Halloween H2O for the school. And also the houses that you see on set for Woodsboro, where they go back and you see it's Woodsboro and it's the set and
Yeah.
everything like that.
Yeah.
They said they actually had to recreate all that set again.
Really?
Because at the end of Scream 1, they destroyed them sets.
Well, yeah,
So
naturally,
it's
right?
not like they actually had the Scream 1 sets to put on there. So they
that's
actually
crazy.
all recreated sets
I-
for Scream 1.
So they
I
had
thought
to
they had
recreate.
everything, you know.
Yeah,
they
so
just
they had to
recreate.
That's what I
recreate.
thought too when I was watching. I was like, oh man, they brought out all the sets for Scream 1. Like, that's
Yeah.
really cool.
Right.
But come to find out, all of them sets were actually destroyed. And they rebuilt all of them sets for this
That's
movie.
amazing, though.
So I was like, that, because it looked
The set
exact. I
design.
mean, it was really
Yeah.
cool.
The set design must have been on point to make it look convincing.
I wonder if they still have the blueprints so they can just build it back up again.
Either that or they just watched the movie like,
Yeah.
all right, this wall is this back here, this is how
I
it
mean,
was.
you know, who knows, you know?
But they recreated it, and it was actually recreated really well.
That's amazing.
It was actually pretty good. Nev Campbell had a contract that only allowed her on the set for 20 days. So she was only allowed on set for 20 days per her contract, which is why this movie here is the first time where she's like not really in the movie too much. It's basically relied on her co-stars and other people on the movie more than she is. She's still like a main character because the killer's still going after her, but she's really not the main character for screen time. She for 20 days on set, so she really came in, she did her stuff, she did what she had to do, and then that was it. 20 days on set for a movie isn't a long time. A lot of people have months or, you know, things like that. She had 20 days. But hey, she was doing other stuff at the time. You know, she was still doing Party at 5 at the time, things like that. So you have a contract, and you know, Hollywood's not the easiest place to be. When you got a contract, you got to honor the contract, or you're getting messed over.
Right, exactly.
So she did what she could in 20 days, and I think it still worked out. It wasn't bad.
Yeah.
There's a scene in this one where Sidney Prescott. There's a scene in this one where Sidney Prescott jumps over the bar, and she stabs the killer. She stabs the killer in the back with an ice pick. Now, if you remember what I was talking about in Scream 1 review just a little bit ago, she stabbed Ulrich in the chest with an umbrella. She missed his pad and hit his heart that he had open heart surgery on. Just so happens in Scream 3, she missed the pad of the guy again, and she actually stabbed him in his flesh with the ice pick. So the scream that he lets out in this one is also authentic and real. I would not trust this woman hitting me with anything in a movie, because more than likely you're going to get really hurt.
The potential danger is real, man.
She has no accuracy at all. The woman will hit you in real life. So yeah. I knew you met Napoleon Dynamite. I remember you posting that. That's actually pretty cool. I remember seeing pictures of you when you did that. So Nev Campbell really will. She has no accuracy. She'll miss the pad every time. But yeah, she really did mess up a couple people in these movies. So yeah, we'll see how that one goes. And that's probably why in Scream 4 they started using CGI knives, because they just did not trust this woman with anything pointy, sharp, or
it could have been that.
blunt.
It could have been that. It could have been better
Well, it could have
effects
just been better effects, but I mean, come on, you got Nev Campbell's in three movies, twice, really injuring somebody.
Right.
I mean, come on.
Potential danger,
So that happened there. So that's really all I got for this one here. Like I said, 5.5. It starts the downfall of the franchise in my opinion. To me, it just wasn't as good as the first and second one. It was still better than Part 4. Part 4 is the worst one in my book. But then 5 and 6 really starts to pick the series back up.
That modernizes it.
Yeah, so that's where it really starts.
4 is
to
really
pick
the
up.
dip, though.
So if you want to talk, we'll start Scream 4. We'll start the review on that one right now.
Where's Scream 4 now? Scream 4, 2011. It had a 6.2 out of 10 on the IMDb, but the budget was $40 million, and it grossed $36 million. And domestic, well, that was domestic, and then the worldwide gross was $97 million.
So 97 million worldwide it grossed. You got to think 1, 2, and 3 grossed over $100 million. Scream 4 only worldwide grossed 97. So they really didn't make as much money on this one. They still made a profit, but definitely not as much money that they made on this one. which I can't blame it. Like I said, this is definitely the worst movie of the franchise for me. I love all the Scream movies, so I don't mind for like watching it as a fan. But it definitely is the worst one in my opinion for the franchise itself.
I think I seen that one in theaters when it came out a long time ago. The only time I've really seen it.
But that's also it's like giving it to like new audiences too that still haven't seen the first one or the second one either.
Yeah, but it gives a lot of reference to the first one. You know what I mean? It has like the same characters. It has Gail coming back. She has her book and everything. Goes back to Woodsboro and all that.
Yep.
Yeah.
So that's exactly what this one is. The movie takes place 10 years after Scream 1.
Yeah.
So now Sydney Prescott's doing a book tour. She has a book coming out. So basically, what her book is called Out of Darkness. And her last stop on her book tour is back home at Woodsboro. While she's back home, the killings start happening all over again. She is reunited with her cousin Jill. And her cousin Jill really doesn't like the fact that she's home. As a matter of fact, Jill actually calls Sidney Prescott the Black Death in this movie, pretty much. She says basically anywhere you are, people start dying.
Like the plague.
Yeah,
You know,
The plague, yeah.
So she basically, Jill has no love for Sidney Prescott at all. And so it is what it is, you know. But Sidney's there, killings start happening again. So now she's trying to figure out who the killer is in this one, while she's also trying to save her cousin, her friends. Sidney also reunites back with Dewey and Gail, of course, the Magnificent Three.
Yeah.
And it goes on from there. Again, Sidney is again the target in this movie. There's different motives this time. But she's also the reason, which is also, this is the last time she is the motive of the murders. Starting in 5 and 6, she's not the motive of the murder. She's not even cared about really. Like she's in
kind of
it.
went back for it. So.
But this is the last time that she's actually a focus point and the reason why the killings are even happening. To me, I would really give this movie probably a 5 out of 10. I gave part 3 a 5.5. This one I would give a 5. Again, it's probably the worst one in my book. Like I like all the Scream movies. I would watch them over and over again. I don't really care.
The whole series, right?
But this one definitely is probably the worst one for me. I would give it a solid 5.
Oh, yeah, that's the lesser one in the whole franchise, right? Like I would think, you know.
I would give it a 5 as well. You know what I mean? It wasn't the best movie out of the franchise. It's not the best movie overall. You know, compared to other slasher movies or horror thrillers. You know, but I mean, just it does have Ghostface in it, and you know, I mean, they don't do anything wrong with it. I just think it, story wise and killing wise, it wasn't the strongest one in the series, but it was definitely something good. You know, it wasn't. It's not going to be something that you're not going to want to watch. You know, it's definitely a good one to still watch.
What would you rate it?
What about you? I have 5.
Right. So we all
5.5. Yeah,
5.5.
between all three of us.
I was
Yeah.
thinking about 5.5.
That's not bad.
It's kind of
So a couple facts about this one. This is the last film that Wes Craven ever directed. Wes Craven died of brain cancer August 30th of 2015. So this is the last film that he actually directed. He died when he was 76 years old. Again, he also told the people that he would not come back and direct this movie unless he had a script that was pretty much as good as the original Scream in '96.
Yeah.
He got tired of making the movies. He felt like they were falling off. So he said that unless he had a script that was pretty much as good as the '96 one, that he didn't want to come back and direct it at all.
I mean, you get bored after a while.
He thought that even though I thought it was the worst one, he actually thought that the movie was pretty much on par with the first one, which is why he came back and directed this movie.
Yeah, that makes sense, right?
Which, rest in peace to him. I love Wes Craven, and I really thank you for coming back and directing this movie. It was definitely great. On this movie here, there was an ongoing prank that was going on between the cast and everybody like that. So what was happening is, so Ghostface wasn't supposed to make an appearance yet on certain scenes or anything like that.
Yeah.
But it comes to find out that people were dressing up in the Ghostface costume and jumping out and scaring people on the set when they weren't expecting Ghostface.
So they're just trying to get him to jump.
Yeah, so that was pretty much
jump
like
on him.
it was pretty much like an ongoing prank that was going on. So I was like, all right, well that's pretty cool. You know, having some fun with it. You know, stuff like that. You can't go wrong. This is also the first time in the film where they did not use a collapsible knife, a foldable knife, anything like that. The knives in this one here were actually CGI. So they started doing the CGI knives in this one here.
Yeah.
Like you said, probably, you know, better special effects, things that they could do with it. And Nev Campbell couldn't hurt anybody.
You know, potentially, you know. The same with the blood, though. I mean, it's the same, you know.
I mean, you can do a
logic,
lot
you know?
with CGI, especially with the time that this movie was coming out. CGI is really coming into its own.
Hugely
so
in the
you-
early 2000s.
Yeah, so you can really do a lot with a CGI knife and make it look pretty well done.
Yeah.
If you watch the first and second Scream, Dewey got really hurt bad. He got injured pretty bad with getting stabbed and everything like that. And if you watch in Scream 3, especially, even Scream 2, you can see him walking around with a limp. He has a limp, and you can tell that he has some kind of muscle damage or ligament damage or something. But in Scream 4, he walks pretty much perfect. Like, there's nothing wrong with him or anything like that.
Nothing wrong with
And people were kind of wondering, like, what happened to your limp, man?
Right, you know.
And he basically joked one time, he was like, oh, years of physical therapy. So that's how he kind of
That's how
explained
he
his
got out of
limp
it.
not being around in this one here.
He's working out like crazy.
Yeah, so, you know, whatever, years of physical therapy. You probably got tired of acting with a limp the whole time. So,
Right.
you
But
know,
also thinking
like I got-
coming out without it now, thinking, oh, it's a new broader audience. They're not gonna know. They haven't seen the first two. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's not gonna catch on. But people did catch on.
but people
They haven't
knew.
seen it.
You got
Yeah.
fans,
Yeah.
man. You got lifelong fans that are like,
People
hey,
into the lore and
Because
everything.
if I was to see it, yeah, totally, I wouldn't know he had a fucking limp because I've never watched any of them.
yeah,
Yeah.
yep. But yeah, he basically joked and said, years of physical therapy.
Right.
This is the first film in the franchise since Scream 1 where the killer was actually photoed on the poster of the movie. Scream 1, Billy Loomis was on the, well, maybe Stu, but Billy Loomis was definitely on the picture of the Scream 1 poster. Scream 2 and 3 did not have the killers on the poster, as where Scream 4 did have the killer on the poster.
Cameo.
So this is the first time since Scream 1 that the killer was featured on the poster of the movie.
Yep. Major
So
teaser,
I
bro.
was like, okay, not too bad.
Not too bad. That's a good change up though. See, they're saying, you know,
So
everything. They're
also,
trying to mix everything up.
I don't know, like, whatever. So we'll go with Scream 5. I was going to say something about Wes Craven, but I just missed the man directing.
Oh yeah, man.
But we'll go Scream 5 now.
Scream 5. Scream 5 2022. It got a 6.3, so it came up just a little bit, huh? The budget was 24 million, grossed 81 million, and gained worldwide 137 million.
So Scream 4 worldwide was like 90-some million, and Scream 5, it really brought it back up to 137 million. So this one here showed that the movie definitely picked back up. The audience was back into it
It
again.
was a newer cast.
They had new cast.
refreshed.
Jenna Ortega came back into this movie. Not
She
came
made
back
pretty
in, but
recently.
she
Started
came
it.
into the movie.
Yeah, she started it. man.
You know, Nev Campbell signed back on. She was a little hesitant to sign on to this movie because this is the first time Wes Craven did not direct
Nervous,
a
right?
Scream movie. So she didn't feel like it was right for her to come back into this movie, but she basically got coaxed in and talked into
But
it.
that's kind of crazy
And
too.
this-
You're talking about the god of directing horror movies, and then him not being in it. That's crazy.
Right.
Yeah.
And
So
this
Nev
movie-
Campbell basically, she was hesitant. She didn't want to do it.
Yeah, this movie is has homage to Wes Craven. They said that there's all sorts of like little Easter eggs in it that you can tell.
Yeah.
That
One of the biggest one that I like is the fact that they were talking about one of the times you see Ghostface clean his blade off, and usually when he cleans his blade off, he just runs and he does this other thing, and it's like whatever, he does something spooky. This one here, they kind of did a nod to Wes Craven. So Ghostface will clean his blade off, but at the same time, he kind of bows.
Yep.
And they said that's kind of like a bow and a nod to rest in peace, Wes Craven. Thank you for all your success.
A lot of the camera styles, a lot of the filmmaking styles that you can tell, like with like closing the fridge, like in one scene, closing the fridge and building up music to bring tension to the scene. Mm-hmm. That's very Wes Craven, very even John Carpenter, just very like horror themed.
Well, think Michael Myers,
Yeah.
Every time he looked in the doorway,
yeah, exactly,
but there was nothing there. But you had that build up.
The supervisor around the tree, like the creeper around the tree.
Yeah, they definitely did a lot of
all that stuff.
A lot of tribute to him in this movie. At the end of the movie, they actually even dedicated this movie to Wes Craven.
Yep, directly,
which they better because I would have been really upset if they didn't.
It was very. I thought it was in good taste as far as all that. Just because of all the little Easter eggs and all the little hints to horror films and everything.
Yep,
it's a good nod to it.
It was good. So this movie takes place 25 years after Scream 1, which is pretty much on point.
Yeah.
So now there's a new Ghostface. He's back in Woodsboro, and he's trying to resurrect secrets from the town's past this time. Not Sidney Prescott's past, but he got town past that he's trying to resurrect now. Sidney Prescott really is not the main focus on this movie for the first time. Usually through Scream 1 through 4, she's the main focus. They're trying to kill her, blah, blah, blah. This time here, they got a different agenda, really.
Yeah, they have a new Scream Queen.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So they got Jenna Ortega, which is Tara, and her sister Samantha.
Yeah.
And they're basically the new Neve Campbell. They're trying to go after her. So there's new motives. There's a new cast. So this time is the first time it's not really featured Neve Campbell as the main, person trying to get killed, which is kind of refreshing. It was kind of nice. You always see, oh my God, Neve Campbell's trying to get killed again. Neve Campbell's going to get murdered again. This was actually a fresh intake. Yes, Neve Campbell was still in the movie. Yes, she did make an appearance. She did not have a lot of screen time like the other Scream movies, but she also didn't want to be in the movie, so she's still in it, but not as much. Yeah, but it still kind of worked out.
Limited time in it, but it's very. Yeah, I mean, it drives the story forward, massively.
Yeah, it feels organic, It doesn't feel because it was kind of a revamp, but it still felt it's still in the same Scream universe. It still felt really good, really well put, and it even brings back Officer Dewey and Gail Weathers. They're all three. They're all still in this one, so it's really good, really well put together. You know what I mean? And it is kind of like a passing on of the torch, where they kind of give it to the new girls, the whole new cast. Everyone's different, but it definitely has like that new spin on it. The new 2020 kind of era of vibe to it.
Very modern.
Yeah, very modern. Very cool. So it was definitely sick to kind of see, the passing of the torch, like I said.
Yeah.
They're still in it, but it's definitely not, the focus isn't them, those three characters like it has been in the previous films.
Well, you're right. You could definitely tell it's the passing of the torch.
Yeah.
Because like you said, they're in it, but they're not the main focus. And they really focused on Samantha and Tara in the movie. So you could definitely see, and even their friends. You got Tara and Samantha's friends that are more part of the movie, as to where you can see where Dewey and Gail and Sidney Prescott are more like, we've been through this before, we'll try to help you the best we can.
Side characters.
Exactly. They're more side characters than they are main characters in this one.
I mean, they grew up to be like main character caliber characters, but
So that's basically what it is. I mean, Tara winds up getting a phone call in the beginning. She winds up getting attacked, but she actually survives.
Yeah.
And once she survives, she goes to the hospital. Her sister Samantha gets word that she's in the hospital, so she's like, oh my God, let me go visit my sister. They're not really close, which reasons you'll find out watching the movie, but they're not really close, but she still goes to visit her sister in the hospital. Then she kind of finds out who her dad is. Try not to say.
Yeah.
But she trying to find out who her dad is, and she kind of tells her sister, "This is the reason why I left you when you were so young. Is because I had mental problems. I had to start over my life. I was kind of messed up.
Had things going on.
So they have some family trouble going on. But Ghostface is trying to pretty much resurrect these secrets, and then that's what kills the killing start.
Were all three of these artists?
And also, so as the killings start, Dewey and Gail get involved to try to help him out, and then eventually Sidney Prescott comes into the film, and it also comes to find out that Sidney Prescott, she gets married and has kids with Mark, who's Patrick Dempsey in part 3. He's the cop. Comes to find out that they actually get together, get married, and have kids. And she's scared that the killing's going to start, so she leaves her kids and goes to help them out, which is pretty cool. All in all, I think this revamp starts the series back up again to where I actually give the movie a 7.
Yeah, right here.
Give it.
Yeah. It's right here.
Considering it's sadly not a Western film,
Beating.
but it has the spirit of it, man. There's style in it. I would say it's a solid 8, bro.
Really? 8?
Just because of how I liked what they did with it.
That's the highest rating he's gave.
That's a high one.
Just
Out
because.
of all Scream movies, that's the highest
Just
rating
because.
he's given so far.
Just because of how the stylistic approach of it.
All right.
I'm just saying,
I'm not hating
from what I
before.
saw, from what
I'm
I
not
saw of
hating
it.
it for it, because like I said, I give it a 7. I bring it right up there with Scream 2. It's not as good as the first
it's
one,
not a
but
10.
I do give it gets its revamp. So this
It's
is
not
definitely
a
the
9.
highest rating since 2 that I give. So I don't blame you for
It's
that.
not a 9. It's not a 10. It's right there.
What would you rate Scream 5?
Scream 5. Oh, I do like the blood in that one. It definitely feels more modern. It feels like actual blood, and there's a lot of it in this one too. And compared to the first 4, kind of when someone gets stabbed, you see like a little bit of blood, and you're like, ooh, this one when people get stabbed, like they're
it's
spitting
bad.
up.
different.
Yeah,
It's different. It's busy, and the shock factor.
Yeah,
the shock
so-
factor that you get from it, like that sheriff, bro.
Right,
Like,
it definitely feels like
that shock factor.
It feels like a
Right?
callback to
It's
the
like-
older ones.
It
with,
was good.
all the blood, kind of feel like some Mortal Kombat where everyone was just bleeding,
Yeah,
guts
that
and
too.
everything. So I think I give Scream 5 a good 7.5.
Okay, so
Yeah,
7, 7.5, 8.
8.
All right,
That's
so
not bad,
so you
man.
got a rating
That's
about a
not
7 and an 8 from all of us. That's not
Yeah.
too bad.
Yeah.
Like I said, it's definitely a revamp of the movies. It is my 3rd favorite out of the franchise, so that's not too bad. I found out that David Arquette, who plays Dewey, he is a certified Bob Ross painting instructor.
Really?
Is he?
He's a certified, all right, real life, certified Bob Ross painting instructor. And it kind of found out that during filming breaks, he was actually teaching a lot of the cast how to paint like Bob Ross.
No
Like he was actually painting and teaching.
I've heard that somewhere.
He
but
was teaching the
I
cast.
never even knew that, bro.
He was teaching the cast how to paint, bro.
Wow.
but I know
Just
you can,
like
That's
Bob Ross.
crazy.
The fact you're a certified Bob,
that's wonderful.
The guy's
you
cool,
get
man.
That, like, fucking certificate
The-
for that,
the
bro.
guy's
That's
cool, man.
crazy, bro.
That's pretty cool.
No, he's a
I mean, he
legit.
does that, and he does pro wrestling. Like, come on,
He's
like,
a
what the
legit.
heck? Like,
He's a painter, man. And he was
That
teaching the
guy's
cast
crazy.
how to paint. I thought that was pretty
That is
cool.
pretty cool, though. Like, he can do that.
Of course, first of the Scream films not directed by Wes Craven, but it does get its honors, and Wes Craven gets nominated, dedicated for the film at the end of the movie.
Yep.
Um,
Not for it. Yep.
David Arquette was also excited to regrow the now famous
mustache.
Dewey stash.
Dewey stash, yeah.
So he said that he was really excited to regrow his stash that's now famous for Dewey.
Yeah.
Which, why not? I mean, if I got to grow this beard out for a cast, I would do it in a heartbeat.
You're right.
You know? I guess it's kind of a spoiler, but I kind of already did it. This is the first Scream movie. If it's a spoiler, you can mute real quick, or
Or
I'll
fast forward.
point to you when it's done or whatever. Before a spoiler, This is the first Scream movie, which the first victim not only survives the opening, but also survives the entire movie. So she survived the original attack and survived the whole movie. First time. Okay, that's over now.
Right.
Spyglass Media, they had to secure the rights from Fun World to use the original Ghostface mask for the film.
Wow.
So because they were doing a dedication to the Ghostface and things like that, they actually had to get permission to say, "Hey, let me use that mask," and they had to secure the rights for it.
That's crazy though.
Also, like we were talking about, this is the first Scream film where the killer does not have a personal motive against Sidney Prescott. So we talked about that one. So again, really picked the franchise back up. I enjoyed this movie a lot.
Brings, like, new life to
it was definitely refreshing.
It is very refreshing. It takes a lot from like the backstory of the first movie.
Okay,
and it's very, like that's
that's
what pulls me in.
They did pay a lot of tribute to Wes Craven. They pay a lot of tribute to the old killers in this movie.
Yeah.
A
lot of that.
And I liked it because they did it in a new way, but it was still like, hey, we're Scream 5 now, but we still love Scream 1.
Yeah.
It was really good.
So did you guys feel nostalgia watching it?
I did.
Yep.
Definitely.
I did.
Definitely. As a fan,
especially for the part that Skeet Ulrich even plays cameos in this movie.
Yeah.
Not going to say why he's in the movie, but he plays cameos in the movie. And seeing Skeet Ulrich, who played Billy Loomis in the first one, it was like, he looked good. They really brought back some stuff.
He looked good.
And I think that's why I rate this as my third favorite Scream movie, is because I actually felt like they hit home with this one. I did enjoy it.
But it's like doing stuff like that, like in like the film though, like as far as like how they did that, like it's kind of like Halloween-esque, like how they kind of like did that.
Yeah, I can see it.
Like you see, it's crazy.
Like I said, I actually
because that's what I saw.
I did enjoy it as a refreshing take. I love 1 and 2, 3 and 4 were like whatever, like I still watch it, but you're not my favorites. 5 and 6 I enjoyed, and I like 5 and 6 especially because it was such a refreshing take on the movie. Yeah. So I did enjoy that a lot. Yeah. So last but not least, we have Scream 6. So Scream 6 is the last of the movies.
Yeah, it's the last of the movies. It's 2023. It's they gave it a rating of 6.5. I mean,
I give that one low. It's low.
You do?
Yeah, dude. All right. So I give 5 a 7. Right. This one I gotta go with a 7.5 to 8.
Well, we'll get that when we get there.
I gotta give it a 7.5 or 8.
We'll get there. The budget for this movie was 35 million, and it grossed 108 million domestically. Yeah. And then it gained 168 million worldwide.
Yeah.
So again, I mean,
so it definitely
same
picked
cast as
up
5.
The budget, what it gave for a budget, and then what it grossed. Again, it picked up like the first couple movies did. $168 million is no joke, especially when you only had a $35 million budget. It gained a lot of money. So you could tell that the franchise picked up again after 5. It definitely started like, all right, people are into this again.
We get fresh faces, you get fresh reactions, right?
Yep.
So that's how at least that's how I look at it.
Yeah.
It brought life back to the series.
Yeah.
And they could make another 4.
Yeah.
With just these characters.
They could definitely go just like they did the original. They can make another franchise with the characters that they have. If they make it. But I mean, it is what it is. But I did enjoy it.
It was amazing.
So basically, this one here, this movie follows the 4 survivors that were from 5. I'm not going to say who, in case you haven't seen it. But it follows those 4 survivors from part 4 as they tried to make a new life and they moved to New York City. to start over again. Little do they know that the killings are going to start back up again, even in New York City, as there are more Ghostface killings starting to happen. So now Sam and Tara and the other survivors, they try to figure out, like, man, this is going on again. What are we going to do? We have to figure out who this murderer is and just make a stop to it once and for all. So there's still stuff coming up. Things are happening. There's new motives again, but this time for Sam and Tara.
Yeah, it's around the 4th, actually. You know.
This is the first time Dewey and Sidney Prescott are not in a Scream movie. Sidney Prescott's not in the movie because Neve Campbell declined contracts. She thought she was going to get paid too low and stuff like that. So she actually declined it. She did not join this movie. As to where David Arquette, he's not in the movie for other reasons. Find out later. So he's not in the movie. Gal Weathers is in the movie. She's the only one from the original cast that is in this movie still. So she's the only one to appear in all 6 Scream movies as the date. Hey, leave it to Courtney Cox. She already looks like a ghost face. Might as well survive the ghost face killings. That girl is. We'll talk about that one later. So pretty cool. The first movie of the franchise that didn't have Sidney Prescott. It's the first Scream film that was shot outside of the United States.
I didn't know that.
It was actually filmed in Montreal, Canada. So this is the first time that a Scream film was actually not shot even in the United States, even though it takes place in New York City. I don't know why they couldn't go to New York City and just shoot the movie. They had to go to Canada, eh? But I guess that's what it is.
I just find it funny that they did this in New York. They did 6 in New York, and then there's, Friday the 13th in New York.
They did do a Friday the 13th in Manhattan. Jason Takes Manhattan.
Jason Takes Manhattan. So I was just like, I saw this, like, they're in New York, really?
Actually, maybe that could be another connection to the 80s and slasher movies where they pay tribute because Jason did go to Manhattan.
He did.
And now Scream is taking place in New York. So maybe that's a connection that we didn't really get yet.
And you think, the more people, what are the killings going to happen? Somebody's going to see this guy, Like, it's the same, like, it's a whole nother type of horror, It's like, it's weird,
This might be a spoiler for some. So if you want, you can mute real quick and I'll point again when it's over. So 3, 2, 1. All right, so this is the first Scream movie that has more than 2 killers. So this one has more than 2 Ghostface killers. There's actually a couple. So, all right, that one's done. So if you didn't know that one, that'd be pretty cool to watch.
Yep.
This film breaks a record with the highest amount of survivors by the end of the movie with 7. They have 7 survivors at the end of this movie, which is the highest.
I didn't even count that. That's crazy.
Not only does it break a record for the highest amount of survivors with 7, it also breaks a record with the highest amount of kills in the movie of a Scream franchise with 13.
Damn.
Highest amount of survivors with 7, but most amount of kills with 13. So that's actually pretty cool.
Crazy.
It's the longest film in the franchise. It has 2 hours and 3 minutes of film time. So it's the longest film of the franchise. So this movie's just breaking all the records of the Scream franchise right now. It's the first time in a Scream series where Gal Weathers receives a phone call from Ghostface. In the one, Randy intercepted the call from Gal, so she never received it.
Yeah.
So this is the first time in all 5-6 movies that Gal Weathers receives a phone call from Ghostface.
Yep.
First time.
Yep. First time.
So again, another first for this movie.
Yeah, the first time.
This movie also teases a return of Stu Macher, who was a killer in the first Scream movie.
Yeah.
this movie teases a return to Schumacher when they see the TV in the film and they say, "Oh, that's what kills Schumacher," and they say, "Yeah, if he's really dead." So people are speculating that he actually might come back and return into the franchise again, which would be really cool.
That would be really cool.
I love Stu, so I thought that would be neat.
Right. It was a good character, man.
And it's also the first film in the franchise to get a 3D release. None of the other ones got a 3D release. This is the first time that a Scream movie's gotten a 3D release. So, I mean, for this movie as part 6 of the franchise, it has a lot of firsts. I mean, this movie broke records left and right for the different things on the Scream franchise, which was pretty cool. So, again, I gave part 5 a 7. I got to give this one a 7.5 or 8. I love how they're keeping it fresh. They're moving on with the story, not including with the original cast. They're kind of making it new with new characters involved. They're still keeping the Ghostface trilogy franchise alive, but in a new way. And you know, I feel like they're really bringing it back, and they're kind of making it new and refreshing again. I kind of got bored with 3 and 4, and then after watching 5 and 6, I kind of getting back into it. Like, wow, they're redoing it, and it's pretty well done. So I'm excited to see if they make more. I'm excited to see if they bring Stu Macher back, because that would actually be pretty cool. I think Matthew Lillard's a great actor, and when he made Stu, I really thought he did really well with that part. And I would actually like to see if he survived that TV fall in the first one, and if he comes back and makes a return.
It'd be insane though. How would you describe that?
I give it a 7.5 out of 8. 7.5 or an 8. What would you rate this one?
I would give it an 8.
8? Okay.
And I would give it an 8 because it goes right beside 5. 5, 6. 5, 6.
Yeah. No doubt. We agree on that one.
It's a continuation directly from it.
Yeah.
And it's like a restart. It's like a reset of the whole series.
Yeah. So we agree on that.
So and it even shows that, like with the Stab movies, they even pay homage to it.
Yeah.
In that regard too, which I think is even more funny.
Yeah.
But it's just, you know, is what it is. It's just it flows. So that's why I'm giving it an 8.
Well, we agree on it. I mean, like I said, it really picks the franchise back up again. I'm excited to see where it goes from here. I know Ghostface isn't done yet. I know there's going to be a couple more movies left, at least. People love Ghostface too much, like they do Michael Myers. Michael Myers has like 50,000 movies right now. Ghostface could be right up there with them. They can keep making Ghostface movies for all I care. I love Scream movies. I love the franchise.
Yep.
So it's still pretty good. So that's pretty much all I have for the Scream franchise review. If you had anything?
No.
We pretty much covered all the movies.
That's a lot of movies to cover. Most we've ever done.
Yep. So we covered Scream 1 through 6 on this time. We're going to be doing another movie next weekend. Make sure you stay tuned on Cinemas with Benefits.
Yep.
And see what movie we're going to cover next.
We'll have that in the polls. And
we'll probably do a poll. We'll see which one comes out on top. It'll probably be a newer horror movie.
It'll be a lot of the poll will consist of newer movies.
Yeah, so it might not just be an older movie that people seen. We just thought that this might be a cool one to start the Halloween season off with some pretty cool slasher movies that are pretty older. But we will be doing newer horror movie reviews. So make sure you guys stay tuned. Cinemas with Benefits. Make sure you guys take the poll and see what we do next.
All right.
All right. Thank you guys for coming in. Have a good day.